Today I'm going to review Halloween from 1978. But first, subscribe to my channel, press that subscribe button, folks.
The night he came home.
Halloween came out in 1978 and was directed by John Carpenter. He also did the music score. Also, he co-wrote the screenplay with Debra Hill. The film stars Donald Pleasence, Jamie Lee Curtis in the first screen role, P.J. Souls and Nancy Loomis. The film runs 91 minutes and only cost $300,000, but it made a staggering $70 million back and one of the most profitable independent films of all time. It was well praised by the critics. They especially liked the direction and the music score. The film inspired many sequels, and it also inspired the slasher films from the 1980s. The film was shot in just 20 days over a 4-week period. It was filmed in California, and they used the Steadicam for the point of view shots. So this is the first one directed by John Carpenter, and there's been 12 films in the Halloween series. The films are, the first film's Halloween in 1978, Halloween 2 in 1981, and then the third film was a totally different film that Michael Myers wasn't in this. It was called Halloween 3 Season of the Witch from 1982, and it's an underrated sequel. Next was Halloween 4 The Return of Michael Myers in 1988, then Halloween 5 The Revenge of Michael Myers in 1989, and then Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers in 1995. Then they got Jamie Lee Curtis back for Halloween H2O 20 years later in 1998, and also in Halloween Resurrection in 2002. Then there was a reboot for Halloween in 2007 and a sequel to it, Halloween 2 in 2009. Then there was another reboot called Halloween in 2018, and this did away with all the sequels. This film's followed on from the first film, discounts all the sequels. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it again. And then there's a sequel to that called Halloween Kills in 2021, also has Jamie Lee Curtis in. And also bringing another one out next year, Halloween Ends, hopefully. So Donald Pleasence's character was originally offered to Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Peter Cushing's agent turned it down because the salary wasn't high enough, and also Christopher Lee said it was one of his greatest mistakes not doing the role. But they both weren't offered enough money, so Donald Pleasence took the part. But I thought he was excellent, Donald Pleasence. This is probably one of his best performances. He's really good in this film, and I can't imagine anyone else playing his part. Hey, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Two bloody greedy buggers. Money's not everything, you know. Yeah, that's right, Bones. Another interesting thing is they used William Shatner's face mask and enlarged the eyes and made it so Michael Myers wore it in Halloween. They sprayed it white. So that was really interesting, using William Shatner's face. But you can't recognise his face in the film. Hey, Phil! William Shatner's such a big head. How did he get to keep the mask on his head? So this is probably John Carpenter's best film. I also like The Thing. That gives it a run for its money for best film he's done. But he's done some great films. The Fog, Escape from New York, They Live. Really great director, and this set him on the map, this film. Really did. Another interesting thing is John Carpenter does his own music scores, and they're really good. Especially this film, it's excellent. And he based it on films like Suspiria and The Exorcist. He used a piano melody, and it's really effective in this film. And another great thing about this film is the point of view shots. He used Steadicam, and that was fairly new at the time. So even though it was a low budget film, he still managed to use Steadicam There's some brilliant shots. It's very voyeuristic. The characters are getting watched all the time. Even a simple thing like just walking down a path. The film gives it a lot of menace. And even when something doesn't happen, you're still wondering if something is going to happen. Like if someone's going to jump behind a fence or something like that. The film creates like a paranoia in the audience. And Carpenter uses the full frame of the film. So like things happen on the edges of the film. It's very effective, that. Like you could say like a shape coming out of the side of the screen. So really well done. I like how he uses the full frame. Right from the beginning this film's really good because the titles gets you in the mood. You see like a pumpkin and the camera's like slowly zooming in towards the pumpkin. And you've got that creepy music score in the background. And the film starts off in 1963 where you see a young Michael Myers kill his sister who's just had sex. And he stabs her as a young kid and he gets sent to a lunatic asylum for 15 years. Then the film starts in 1978. And another interesting point about this film is the majority of it's at night. Only a few scenes during the day. But Carpenter got some great performances, especially Donald Pleasence's character. And he doesn't call Michael Myers a he. He always calls it an it. And says it's evil. But Jamie Lee Curtis is a revelation as well. This is the first performance in the film. And Carpenter used like the fear factor creating a performance. He'd tell Jamie Lee, right, I want your fear factor as a 7 or an 8 or a 9. That meant it showed how scared her character had to be. Because like most films, this is shot out of sequence. For her to remember how scared she was, the director used this fear factor technique and it worked really well. Although you can tell it's low budget at times. And I love the ending. Michael Myers gets shot by Donald Pleasence 6 times and falls out the window. And then Jamie Lee Curtis is crying her eyes out and she says it's a bogeyman. And Donald Pleasence has a great line when he says, as a matter of fact, he was. And then the camera focuses on Jamie Lee Curtis crying. Excellent ending, that.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
And the film does have unsettling moments. There's a scene where someone's lying down and there's a headstone above the head of someone who he's killed. Really creepy, effective scene, having a headstone on a bed. So this film properly created the slasher movie. Like before, there was Psycho. Oddly enough, Jamie Lee Curtis's mother's in that, Janet Leigh. So they're both in 2 influential slasher films. But this film created not just its sequels, but it created the slasher films of the 1980s. And a lot of them were on the Video Nasties list. None of them hold a light to this. And you could almost say this is one of the best directed horror films. And none of the sequels are as good as this. There's 1 or 2 I quite like. Oddly enough, I like the 3rd one. That has nothing to do with the series. This film would have been like even more effective if it had just stopped on its own, no sequels. So out of 10, what will I give this film? Top marks, 10 out of 10. Brilliant film. I do think Bornstein do like it. Really good film, Phil. That's another one from the 70s that's a classic. Okay everybody, like, subscribe and share. Bye everyone. Don't forget to subscribe. Well, it's Halloween, so I've got my knife ready. I'll go Halloweening. So subscribe or I'll be knocking on your door. Bye everyone, bye.